Jen here, AKA your sober minded sis. If you've ever wondered why one drink turns into more, then this workshop is for you. Today, we're going to talk about what actually happens after the first drink. Okay. We all know that I'm just going to have one. At least that's maybe our goal or our initial intention. The first drink literally changes your brain. That's right. You heard me. It's literally brain chemistry, what's going on. Because what happens is we just think, oh, I'm just going to have a drink to take the edge off. Oh, I'm just going to have a drink to connect with my husband or socialize with my friends, or maybe just relax and unwind on the back patio. What happens is we take that first drink, and that's where the choice is made to have that first drink. And when we take the first drink, our dopamine gets a major hit. Okay. Our reward center in our brain gets the message, hey, good job. This is what you wanted. And you're going to get an instant reward. You're going to get instant relief because alcohol is an anesthetic, it's a depressant. And so you're going to feel that if you're anxious, if you're worried, if you're overthinking, it's going to numb a lot of those feelings and even sensations in your body, which I got to say can feel good for about 20 minutes, 30 minutes until it wears off. You've also got to know that after your first drink, your inhibitions go down. Now, all of a sudden, you're not as much in the driver's seat of your own brain. The alcohol is now taking effect. And after that first drink, your inhibitions go down. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of you that's making really logical, intentional choices, is now getting in the back seat. And alcohol is getting in the front seat. And that is going to lower your inhibitions. And then also, you're going to find that your desire increases because you're really starting to stir the craving loop, the craving cycle, because dopamine, again, is based on reward. And we are wired for dopamine hits. We live in basically a dopamine saturated environment where we're just constantly looking for ways to eject, numb out, distract, and that creates more of a desire for itself. In fact, alcohol is very unique in the sense that it actually creates a thirst for itself because it tells your brain, this was good. This feels good. Maybe if we have more, it'll feel even better. How many of y'all out there have ever thought one's good, two's going to be even better? And if two's good, for sure, three is really going to do the trick. And that creates that loop. So after the first drink, you are no longer making the same decision. Okay. Once you had that first drink, you are no longer in the same brain space as you were before that first drink. So it's not about willpower after the first drink. Now chemistry has actually gotten in the equation. Okay. So you're not weak. This is not an issue of you just need to try harder and want it more and more willpower, more self-discipline. No, this is actually about chemistry changing in your brain, in your body, not to mention the emotional release that you get from having maybe some negative emotions numb out for a minute. Okay. So why just one doesn't stay just one? Do y'all want to know that? I was always mesmerized. How can I have such good intentions and then not follow through? Whereas in other areas of my life, I did have good intentions and I could follow through. Not with drinking, not the case. It's because our brain wants to extend the reward. It's, man, if this is good, more is better. And that's really not the case. In fact, did you know this? I'm quoting from my friend William Porter's book, Alcohol Explained. On page 11, he says, indeed, the more often we take an external drug, like alcohol, the more proficient our body will become at counteracting its effects. That's called tolerance, my friends. That is called tolerance. And the more tolerance you have, you would think, hey, that's a good thing. I can tolerate more. I can hold my liquor. I can hang out with the big league. Actually, all that means is you've also increased dependency. You've increased your ability to match what you're putting in your body. And that's not necessarily a good thing because it also doesn't really give you a good feedback loop as to what you're actually doing to your health. But again, it's not being satisfied with less. It's thinking if a little bit is good, more is better. Leave a comment below if this is resonating with you. Because how many of you thought, yeah, that works in other areas of my life. If something's good a little bit, more is going to be better. And that's actually not true with alcohol. There's something called, I know, again, go with me here. I was a business major in college. I was a marketing major. And one of the things that we learned about is the concept of diminishing marginal returns. What does that mean in layman's terms? What does that mean to the average person? It actually means the more you have of it, the less you're going to benefit from it or enjoy it or get the results that you're looking for. There are other things out there that have reverse tolerance, which means the more you have of it, the less you need of it to get the same effect. Not true with alcohol. As I mentioned, you become better at counteracting it, meaning your anxiety might get worse, your hangovers might get worse, but that's your body actually working to meet the level of use that you're having with this substance, with this external substance. And what happens over time, y'all, it's just momentum builds. It literally creates this loop where it's okay, did the chicken come before the egg or the egg before the chicken? Did I have anxiety and so I drink, or do I drink because I had anxiety? It's really hard to tell because you start to get in this crazy loop. And the loop itself, I call it the detox to retox loop. And the loop itself begins to have a life of its own. And it actually builds momentum because your cravings actually go up. The more alcohol you have, the more alcohol over time you tend to desire. That's why one drink rarely stays at one drink. It's because you're building tolerance. Your reward center is firing up like crazy, and our bodies are designed to chase after that reward. So the decision point is before the first drink. Maybe you've heard this before, you order the first drink, but the first drink then orders the second and third and so on. So you're in the driver's seat when you are making the choice for that very first drink. And that's why it's important to be armed with the knowledge that you need to realize once you have a drink, now alcohol is entering the chemistry equation, the actual equation of what's going on in your brain, and you're less likely to follow through. And the important thing to know here is the easiest drink to say no to is the first one. The easiest drink to say no to is the first one. And I have personally found in my own journey, it's actually easier for me to say no to the drink than to try to manage or moderate the drink itself, which again creates a thirst for itself with the dopamine hit and the reward loop and the pattern of relief. And then our brain remembers the relief more than it remembers the regret. And the 21-day reset really does help you step out of the cycle long enough to begin to really retrain your brain and begin that process of creating a new neuro pathway. Let's break it down. Let's learn the science behind it and get the support you need to make different choices that make you feel your best, that make you feel empowered. I can't wait to see your comments below this video, and y'all have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye, everybody.